I have worked in different e-commerce models, but that you basically have 80 million
Yeah.
individual cases, that is a challenge.
Walk us through the evolution of e-prescription in Germany. How did it come about?
This combination of having e-commerce, but then having now not only e-commerce classical marketing, but having a new service to establish, because I would see this redemption of the e-prescription marketing wise is not selling a product or marketing for a product. It's more really establishing a new service, and that is what triggered me.
I feel like we're in the middle of a very, very important development here.
It's really about branding. It's about being a trusted partner, because you are sharing your health data with us.
Welcome to another episode of the EGN Podcast, powered by the E-commerce Berlin Expo. I'm your host, Efe von Thenen, and today we're diving into the fast-paced healthcare industry in Germany. Our focus will be on the major innovations reshaping the landscape, such as the introduction of the e-prescriptions. Joining us is Dorit Posdorf, Chief Marketing Officer at DocMorris, who will share her insights on the transformation that's happening right now in digital healthcare. We'll discuss how e-prescriptions are changing the patient experience. We will cover the benefits and challenges of implementing such a system and the critical role DocMorris is playing in leading this innovation. From there, we will explore the broader healthcare market and the complexity of catering to diverse patient groups and how DocMorris is navigating these challenges. Lastly, we will look into the future of retail media in healthcare and take a look at the solutions DocMorris is introducing in this space. Let's get started. Hi, Dorit. Welcome to our show in Berlin. Yeah, very nice to have you here. And introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I love to be in Berlin, and I love to be here today with you on the show. So thanks for the invitation. Very much looking forward to chatting with you.
Yeah, it's so nice to see you, especially in our studio, because all these years I've seen you present on stage, and we had like small exchanges here and there, but now we get to dig a little bit deeper into your day-to-day work, and I think you have lots of insights for us today. But maybe before we get into what DocMorris does, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm Dorit. Since March this year, I'm Chief Marketing Officer at DocMorris. And since that day, I'm on a huge mission.
Oh,
And that mission is to share, show, and also convince everybody in Germany how easy it is to now fully digitally redeem your e-prescription.
yeah.
So that's a huge task, and it keeps me busy every day ever since I set a foot into DocMorris.
Yeah. What did you do before the company, DocMorris?
Several things. I started off after university as a strategy consultant with Roland Berger. I wanted to stay back then 2 or 3 years. I think that was so the typical thing you did after university, and you just wanted to get a feel for it. And I stayed 11 years.
Oh, okay.
I must say it was a great time. Probably one of the steepest learning curves you can have if you are in consulting. And given I traveled a lot, I had projects in many countries. The last 4 years, I completely worked in the Middle East. So time was just flying by. So after 11 years, due to private reasons, I decided then to return home from the Middle East. But those 11 years really
Wow. Yeah.
really went fast. After that, I had different roles and assignments. I worked for CNA, so big corporate environment.
We had them in the podcast. Yeah.
I saw it. And yeah, so retail, but also a lot of offline.
Yeah.
And then I moved more into the digital space, e-commerce especially. I worked for Outfittery, so making sure that every man in Germany looks properly dressed and nice.
You always have a mission, don't you?
I'm always on a mission. Yeah, the last couple of years I spent with ProSieben as operating partner, looking after the different digital assets like Verivox, Flaconi, Jochen Schweizer MyDays, and worked also very closely as a chief commercial officer for close to 2 years with Flaconi.
And now with all these years of experience as a seasoned marketing leader, you are at DocMorris. Yes. I think many of us have been exposed to DocMorris as a brand, but maybe it's best to hear from the person who's at the top of the marketing there to maybe you can tell us a little bit about the positioning of DocMorris, especially with regards to the competition, such as Shop Apotheker, Redcare Pharmacy. How are you positioned in the German market and beyond? And yeah, maybe tell us, like, from your perspective, what you do.
Yeah, sure. So basically, in the core, DocMorris still is an online pharmacy.
Yeah.
But this is not our, so to say, full purpose. This is not our mission. This is not the vision which we are having. We really are transforming currently that positioning into being a key player in the healthcare ecosystem. So we, for example, have Teleclinic, where you can book doctor's appointments, but we are exploring also different parts really to become or create a healthcare ecosystem and, so to say, grow beyond just being a simple online
I haven't
pharmacy.
used Teleclinic. Is it similar to Dr. Lib?
No. So Dr. Lib is really focused on booking appointments with doctors. So you go to their website and you can check for whatever doctor you need, for an appointment. With Teleclinic, we really do connect you directly to the doctor.
Okay.
So the proposition is different. Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of remove the offline part.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. And how do you see the healthcare market in Germany in general? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the evolution in the last couple of years. We will talk about the e-prescriptions in more detail because, especially because you have taken an active role there, which I'm really curious about. But how do you see the German healthcare market?
So there are different parts to that market. So you have a 55 billion, give or take, market around all the prescriptive drugs.
Yeah.
Which means you have to go to a doctor, you need a prescription, and then you can redeem that prescription with a pharmacy. So prescription plus pharmacy in that market. Then we have the OTC market, which is give or take 10 billion.
Yeah.
And here you don't need a prescription. So you simply have to go to a pharmacy still. Yes, you cannot buy it elsewhere, like your nasal spray, for example.
As the name suggests, over the counter.
Exactly. And that is around 10 billion. And the interesting thing is that the online penetration in the OTC market already is around 25, 27%, give or take, depending on the study you're looking at. The 55 million of prescribed medication, the online penetration there is below 1%.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So it is a huge market. And then, of course, for us, also the beauty and personal care space, which is around 25 billion in Germany, is, of course, something we do have in a portfolio. And there, the competition is huge, right? So Flaconi, Douglas, I mean, everybody selling cosmetics also operates in the market. And there, the penetration of online is also over or close to 30% or even over.
I guess this is mostly because the infrastructure has not been developed or established We will get to that. Like the e-prescription has been a game changer. And so especially maybe this is a good segue to start talking about it even. The e-prescription is still relatively new. I have used it already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Looking forward if you
Used
share
it
your
with
experience.
a
My
competitor
God.
of yours just to
No.
test it. You know, I'm in e-commerce, but I have yet to test it with you guys.
Okay.
We'll do so, but maybe walk us through the evolution of e-prescription in Germany. How did it come about? And how did you, then let's move on to how did you push this change?
Yeah. So the e-prescription has been talk of the town since many, many years. And it never really happened. So
why not, actually?
Honestly, I don't know. Yeah, right. Sometimes I also wonder why in Germany certain digital things are just not really taking off or being adopted. So it took several years now that really the e-prescription became the new standard. And that made it for online pharmacies a kind of complicated to fulfill these, so to say, needs or redeem those prescriptions, because that meant you went to the doctor gave you a piece of paper, a prescription, and then you put it in the post. And you sent it via regular post to us, and then we processed it, and then we sent out the medication. So it was really a long, paper-based, cumbersome process, and that was it for years. So of course, the penetration in this market is so low because there was just this huge hurdle to do it online, right? In the OTC market, that works basically like a regular e-commerce transactional business. You go, you have a web shop, you go, you have the typical marketing channels, you put stuff in your basket, you check out, and then we deliver it. So yes, indeed, this e-prescription was a huge game changer, and it happened in January. That became from governmental, so to say, that doctors had to do it. And at the beginning, nobody was prepared on the online pharmacy side to process this e-prescription fully digital. And I think this is now completely insane, right? So we are having an e-prescription, which means you go to the doctor and he doesn't give you a piece of paper, but he puts it on your Krankenkasse or Gesundheitskarte. And then you have to ask, in addition, for a printout to then scan, because the first couple of months this year, the only solution we were able to offer was scanning a code.
Wow.
Now, imagine that. So we have an e-prescription.
That's
and
crazy.
You ask for a printout.
Because nowadays you just scan your, like you use NFC in your iPhone or whatever.
Exactly.
And then scan your card.
And that was basically invented by us in collaboration with other big players in the market, that we said, okay, this is ridiculous, right? We cannot, or we want to be part of the digital transformation of healthcare in Germany. And it cannot be that the solution we are offering is that you have to ask the doctor for a printout, then to scan it with your app. So this is what we are offering now since April. And we were the first movers into the market in April, mid of April, who said, we develop a solution where you can now really simply hold your card to your smartphone. Technology is like you use with payment.
Near field communication.
Absolutely. And we are, so to say, collecting, fetching the information. Then you have the medication in your basket. You can add OTC or BPC products if you wish to the basket. And then it's the normal, regular checkout flow you would have if you would do a regular transaction. And I think the impressive thing is, if you order with us until 8 o'clock today.
Same day delivery.
It's not same day. I mean, we would not deliver in the middle of the night, but it's next day. I mean, we're working with DHL and Hermes. So, of course, this last mile delivery also depends a little bit on them. If they struggle, It might not be, it might be difficult, but in general, if you order with us until 8 today,
PM. Yeah.
you have the medication tomorrow.
Next day. Yeah, this is perfect. I mean, like, it's a huge step forward when you
Absolutely.
compare
It's
it to
massive.
like prior
It was
waiting a
days.
week.
Yeah.
I mean, I did that too. I sent my prescription and then had to wait.
Really?
Yeah, I did that in the past, and I also did the
Had-
electronic one.
Okay.
With where you like you go to the doctor as
Yeah.
you described.
Yeah.
You go to the doctor, your house arts or whatever, and then he prescribes you something. Then you go on the platform, scan your healthcare card. You have to do it only once at the beginning, and then synchronize, and then it's just order it, and that's it, and then it comes next day as you described. It's a revolution. But
It is.
how did you help? Did you said you took part in this progress?
Yeah.
And how actually? You also mentioned some other companies have been a part of it.
Yeah, Gematik, of course, is key to this development, but it had to be also on our side to develop the solution because, was something which had to be technically developed and integrated into an app. So some companies had to step up and say, okay, we are taking this one over. Nobody will do it for us. There's no like shop system or something which you can buy as a company off the shelf to tackle this for you. So it is an in-house innovation and an in-house development. And I think that is really impressive, I must say.
Yeah, it totally is. And it also, beyond the online shop experience, I think it's, in general, e-prescription is a huge revolution for anyone. Just like, even if you would go to a physical pharmacy, then you don't have to carry a piece of paper. It's just all the information is there, that you don't have fraud of sorts, you know, like fakes or whatever. It's a good development for everyone. What I'm curious about is the adoption rate. As we speak, you know.
So out of all the, I think it's over 500 million prescriptions which are being issued each year. So I think nobody ever calculated the amount of paper that is, but it's so paper free now, and I think 85, give or take, probably now. Probably close to 90% is really e-prescriptions. The adoption rate for us now, we see it is constantly rising, and interestingly enough, it really brings us new customers. So we are seeing that younger people, but also our core target group, the chronicle ill patients, who have just a regular need, really see the convenience factor of not having to go to the doctor and the pharmacy, maybe even several times, but really being able to do it in one go at their convenience, any time of the week, any time of the day, and just have it delivered then the next day without running back and forward.
As a former CMO, I know also like how important it is to segment your customer groups and everything. In your case, this is such a diverse market as well.
Yeah, it's
people have
biggest challenge ever.
So many different reasons why they would buy online. For example, let's go to the rural areas of Germany. We know that many pharmacies are closing because they don't have enough traffic, or they don't have enough the influx of customers, like patients, pretty much. And then you see like an uptake in the rural areas. In the urban areas, probably there are some customers that might not want to talk to a person over the counter, and maybe they're ashamed, or you know what I mean. There could be all kinds of reasons. At the end of the day, it's a different experience being totally anonymous online, and and just having to talk to a person. Also, maybe you can elaborate on some of the interesting diverse groups, and also what I am always thinking about: how do you convince 70-plus-year-olds to get on an app, scan with NFC? They're like, what the hell is NFC? you know?
Yeah, the one thing I'm always saying there, I'm quite happy that the payment providers already entered several years ago,
Yeah.
and also online banking. I think if we would have tried to establish the e-prescription and the fully digital way of redeeming that e-prescription a bunch of years ago, the struggle would have been even harder.
Yeah.
Now with people, also older people, knowing how online banking works, how it works to pay with their phone.
Yeah.
We are still having that hurdle.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are trying to sort of say compare and explain that the sort of say process is similar.
Yeah.
But what you were saying, downloading the app, this is still something which remains a barrier, yeah, for once, because everybody has so many apps, so nobody really wants to have another app on the phone. And then for older people, this transition to go to the app store, download the app, and then do the process.
Yeah.
It is, after all, it is a hurdle. And this is where we work a lot now with influencers and with educational pieces to show how easy it is. So that is basically the main message, always to literally show how easy the process and the flow is. Now, what you've said also is the diversity in the target group.
Yeah.
I mean, I have worked in different e-commerce models, but that you basically have 80 million
Yeah.
individual cases, that is a challenge. So we, of course, put a strong focus on our existing customers, because they are already used to us as a brand. They are used to online shopping. I mean, we already do have a very solid share of also app purchases from the past.
Yeah.
So this is one of our priorities, to ensure that these people which are already with us, so to say, are now making the step and are just trying. So we are incentivizing, we are doing a lot of print campaigns, email campaigns to educate and make sure that they are making the switch and that they are at least giving it a try and then hopefully stay with us.
Yeah.
With regards to acquisition, we work with different personas. And I think one very interesting and big persona I didn't have on the radar, given my prior experience, is indeed the caretakers.
Okay. Oh, super interesting.
Yeah.
They do the purchasing or whatever.
Exactly, because I mean, my dad was also in the last years a patient at home. So my mom especially, but also my sister and I, we took, so to say, care.
Yeah.
But I've just recently learned how huge that segment is. There are over 5 million people who need support. And around 4 million out of those, loved ones or closed ones, are doing that job at home. And this is a huge target group for us, because these people have their regular lives, right? You have kids, you have your job, and then you are taking care of your mom, your dad, or I mean, there are all sorts of different constellations. And to make it easier for these people, this is one mission we are on, to really show and say, you know what? Spend the time with the person, spend that Saturday, that Sunday, and do something nice. Yeah, spend the time with this, and don't spend the time running to doctors and to the pharmacy to get all the medication in place. And this is where we are also now exploring additional services, like we call it Folgerezept oder Rezeptabo. Because the prescription work in a quarterly basis. So usually you have to go to a doctor each quarter to get your new prescription. So there's a certain routine, but of course it also is work, right? So you have to
Which
go.
can be shifted online thanks to...
Exactly. And what we offer now is basically that if you give us the permission, that we are doing this interaction with the doctor for you, and that we are ensuring that the medication you need on a regular basis, based on the Folgerezept, that comes automatically. And I think if I would have known this, or if that would have been existing when I was in the situation with my dad, that would have been a huge
Game
relief.
changer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's been adopted highly, or?
Yeah. It is difficult still to really explain and reach out to the people, because these are services which require a little bit of explanation.
Yeah.
So this is why we are now moving a lot of our marketing thinking and the investment into upper funnel and into online video, YouTube,
Yeah.
because these services and the way how to do it and the benefits, it is really difficult to just display this in one sentence, right?
Yeah, it's
And if you read like, hey, you can do a Rezept-Abo, everybody goes like, oh my God, Abo,
yeah.
Abo-Falle.
Yeah, money.
Yeah. But it's the contrary, right? It really takes work off your plate and gives you additional time and freedom to focus your energy on other things.
Yeah.
So,
And it's like your time is also money. Like every time you invest your time in something, you have an opportunity cost.
yeah.
That could be time that you can spend with your loved ones or whatever. You could be working and earning more money. So it's like even that is education, you know?
Yeah.
And I find it super interesting. One thing that I want to ask you, judging from my experience, I have two small kids.
Yeah.
So often going to the Kinderarzt, you know, like pediatrician to get them checked up, and they prescribe lots of stuff always. I still get the paper prescription. To
So,
what extent is that still allowed, or like or will there be a cutoff date?
yeah, if you are privately insured, so all the privately insured people still get paper,
Yeah.
because the e-prescription has not yet been spread through all the private insurance
Okay.
companies. So that might be number one. And then, of course, there are certain things which still are being prescribed on paper, but that
Yeah.
should be a minority. So I don't know the individual case of your kids, but it should be a minority. As I said earlier, adoption rate is hitting now towards 90%. So it becomes the standard.
I feel like we're in the middle of a very, very important development here. And you joined DocMorris quite recently.
Yeah.
And why did you join this company? I mean, I forgot to ask you at the beginning, because like, was it the purpose, or was it this like super exciting times, or you saw a big opportunity that this will be booming?
Yeah. Both. Both. I was looking around, and when I first got into the interaction, I was just thinking, okay, selling nasal spray after having worked in beauty and fashion wasn't quite resonating, I must say, in a first thought. And then
probably not that sexy, you know?
Yeah, nasal spray and fashion. Anyhow, and then I started to learn more about the market, and I remember also a very, very, very interesting interview exchange I had with the group CEO, and then it made click. So the moment I understood the opportunity, the market opportunity of this 55 billion market, but also that I could really make an impact, because also in my past, I always said, I want to make sure Germany is moving forward and that we are becoming more digital, that we are, picking up things, that AI is not only a buzzword and all these kind of things. So, of course, yes, I think we are all driven by a purpose. And I must say, I don't want to say I have the best job in Germany currently. So I think there are also other cool jobs out there. But looking at it, at the challenge and also the opportunity from a marketing perspective, having to educate, having to show, having to share with 80 million plus people how easy the solution is. As you said earlier, catering to the different target groups, designing communication frameworks which cater to that different segments, and then also making the hard calls where to put your money. because this is, as I said earlier, more than just a performance lower funnel.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to buy a nasal spray? Check via Idealo game.
Yeah.
So the mechanics work completely different than just transactional e-commerce, because it's really about branding. It's about being a trusted partner, because you are sharing your health data with us, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this combination of having e-commerce, but then having now not only e-commerce classical marketing, but having a new service to establish, because I would see this redemption of the e-prescription marketing wise is not selling a product or marketing for a product. It's more really establishing a new service. And that is what triggered me. Yeah.
Fantastic answer. Thank you so much. And for me, you mentioned budgets. You mentioned lots of investment in the upper funnel, establishing some sort of brand recognition, which is quite important, right? We all also, when it comes to offline pharmacies, we all have a pharmacy which might be nearby, like where we feel comfortable. Same thing online, right? So since you have competitors also, to establish your own loyalty is a thing. Could you guide us through how your marketing mix looks like?
Basically, we have two marketing mixes. So we have one marketing setup for the OTC, BPC area, transactional e-commerce. There, of course, we work very strongly, lower funnel conversion, funnel step, but then also mid funnel and lower funnel. Preissuchmaschinen. Google,
price comparison portals.
And Google, of course, are big parts of that game. And then now having to educate, having to make this service around the e-prescription, bringing it out there, making it understandable, making it tangible, showing people how to do it and how easy it is. That is for us also very clearly an upper funnel game. So YouTube, and we are big on TV, given also our target group and the need to reach people and to establish that reach. We are big in TV, but also out of home, for example. So we are really doing heavily upper funnel campaigning.
I've seen some as well.
Cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. And you mentioned this one persona of caretakers, which resonates among like 5 million people, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
What are the other personas that we haven't touched upon?
So we have as a big segment chronicle care, chronicle care or chronically sick people. And that in itself is a huge and also diverse segment, because, for example, diabetes is something which can also start as a young age. So, of course, more severe chronic sicknesses and having several sicknesses at a time, this is a bit age-related. So 60 plus, you see that people have 1 or 2 or 3 things. And at the same time, things like diabetes is starting way earlier. So that is the, I would say, largest group we are catering to. And then basically everybody who has a regular prescription need. And that can be somebody needing birth control. But that can be also females over 50 who need on a monthly basis certain hormones for menopause. And I think that is also the interesting twist. So we do have customers and consumers who are sick, right? Who are severely sick, and who have also physical limitations on going somewhere, doing something, understanding, you know what I'm saying? So they are impacted. And then we have at the same time lots of people who also need prescriptive medication, but who are in the middle of their life, because if you need birth control or if you are menopause, you are not limited by any means. And to find the right tonality. think
True.
that is a challenge to the brand, to find the right wording, to find the right emotional connect, because these people are in completely different
So
spaces.
diverse, we said.
Yeah. So it's not only, age or male, female, or caretaker or not caretaker, but in itself, needing a prescription can mean so many different things. And then on top, people are also engaging differently with their sickness, right?
Yeah.
So some don't want to talk about it. Some don't want to really be addressed with it. Others have the need or think it's okay to talk about it. So there, as a brand, to find for each group the right tonality and the right also emotional connect and rational argument, that is marketing and communication wise the big challenge.
Right now in e-commerce, we're also discussing a lot about establishing communities, right? So I guess for you, this is kind of a challenging area because, as you said, like it's divided into a couple of groups. Like some of the patients maybe feel comfortable sharing experiences. Hey, that's why they like influencers, I believe, because if you have some sort of mental issue, then you would go to your influencer of choice and that you would trust them. It's a community, right? So you interact with them. How do you see the development of communities, and especially in healthcare, whether or not this will be a big thing for the next years to come?
Having shared earlier that the vision is to become really an ecosystem and to be the partner, we always saying health in one click. Yeah. So whatever
Nice one. I like it.
health in one click. I think community it is. Yeah. What we are currently exploring, who is driving these communities. Is it really us as a brand where everything centers around? We are not sure yet. And time will tell now over the course of how we are also evolving with the ecosystem. So what we are doing at the moment, we are tapping into existing communities. We are tapping into existing, so to say, relationships, because this trust factor, you know how it is, it just doesn't come for overnight, right? So you have to be there, you have to be approachable. So it will take some time to be that community, I would say. And until then, we are working with community leaders to become part of their community, so to say.
I know that retail media has also been one of your core topics. And now I think you have a different angle of retail media. I'm super curious, first and foremost, how you see the development of retail media, where we are right now, because it's also quite exciting area of focus. And then what's your role as DocMorris, how you tap into it?
I think if you are a marketeer, you definitely want to know where to spend your buck and what impact your spending has. That was a lot easier some years ago. So this whole tracking and attribution challenge, we all know, has made it very difficult. So I do feel that retail media is opening up there a very interesting space, because you are able to invest in a more controlled, I would say, environment. And then on the other hand, as a marketeer, you don't want to spam anybody, right? So you don't want to send people messages which are highly irrelevant to them. So retail media, I think, is this unique possibility to be targeted and be relevant, because you are in a control space, which has then the good side effect that you have a better control also on the impact of your spending. So I'm a huge fan, as you can probably hear from what I'm saying, from retail
I've seen
media.
you on stage, so I know.
So we have a whole segment now with DocMorris taking care of retail media. It's one of our highest and fastest growing business units, if you want to call it a business unit, but areas in our company. We now engaged in a cooperation with LifeRamp to really make also the access to and the booking process a lot easier. And we are experimenting a lot. I think we were the first one offering video formats in retail. In retail media. So we are really, as a company, on every level pushing to be innovative. And really being cutting edge if it also comes to technology or new marketing solutions. So
super interesting.
So if you want to hear all about retail media, you have to talk to Björn Wollak. He runs the retail media for us. So I think that would be also a conversation worthwhile having.
Thanks for the nomination. We'll take that
very
with
cool
us.
Guy, very cool topic.
Absolutely agree with you. As we wrap things up, I want to ask you, 2025 will be the 25th anniversary of your company as well. Do you have something special planned? Can you let us in on your plans already? Just very curious about it.
25 years. We will celebrate birthday a whole year long. There will be bunches of surprises for our customers. I cannot tell you yet. So if not, it wouldn't be a surprise to anybody. No, but we are planning a calendar, full year calendar to celebrate our birthday. This is also, of course, something we are doing with our suppliers because after all, we are a retailer. So we are in exchange with key suppliers of ours to see how we can have 365 days of birthday celebration next year.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Party.
It's gonna be exciting times for sure. Dorit, I want to thank you because I think you've just given us so many insights of an industry that I personally haven't particularly focused on so much before. I learned a lot from you, especially seeing how big the opportunity is that arises with e-prescriptions. You've said around 90% of the prescribed medicine are running on e-prescriptions nowadays. It opens up a whole lot of opportunities, and you're pretty much in the center. I encourage anyone, if they have a question, maybe they can reach out to you on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
And I know that you're pretty active there too. Thank you so much for being part of our show.
Thanks for having me. You have to promise the next prescription you redeem with DocMorris.
I will do so.
Direct feedback.
I usually don't get much for myself. Mostly it's for my kids. So I will definitely check this out.
Cool.
And let you know.
And everybody, indeed, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I'm a big believer in networking and community. So if there's anybody out there having feedback, I'm always delighted to also read something, being it positive or negative. So it really depends. I'm getting both on LinkedIn comments regarding our offer, the brand, but especially everything around e-prescription. Makes my heart beat currently. So happy to hear from anybody out there. Any feedback.
I can totally confirm. Sitting in front of you, you're like radiating this energy. It's addictive. Thank you so much. I usually consider myself as a positive person, but like the way you talk about your work and your ambitions, it's fantastic to listen to that. Thank you so much, Dorit.
Thank you for having me. Have a nice day.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the EGN Podcast. If you found our discussion insightful, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Your support helps us grow and improve our content. See you next time.